Hello there, this is Nancy's Corner for the month of August, and I have some really good books for you this month. Again, everything is brand new, so I'm going to start telling you about the adult books. The first one I have is called Pianos and Flowers. It's written by Alexander McCall Smith, who has written many other series. This is a standalone book, and it is very interesting because the Sunday Times asked him to write some short articles and stories for their paper. So what he asked for were some photographs, and that's what this book is. The photographs are kind of small, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see them. But he took a photograph and wrote a story about it. So for this one, he wrote a story about the man in the picture. And he tells you about their lives and their romantic entanglements. And there's one picture with some young boys on the street, some street children, and he tells you what their lives were like at the time the picture was taken, and also how they grew up. So this is a fun book of short stories that go along with pictures, and it's really a neat idea, and it's very interesting to read. The next one is 3 short novels in one. It's called Deadlines, Fault Lines, and Fire Lines, the Pecan Springs Enterprise Trilogy, and it is written by Susan Wittig Albert. Pecan Springs Enterprises is a newspaper in the small town where these people live, and one of the reporters, her name is Jessica Nelson, she's the crime reporter. She writes about crime, and she got a tip of, for example, a cold case from a year ago that has never been solved, or it was solved incorrectly, so she solves it. Through all 3, there's the recurring theme of the newspaper being a small town newspaper. It is in trouble financially, and we find out how the newspaper recovers. Also, when Jessica was away on a high school trip, her house burned, and her parents and her twin sister were killed. They never figured out what happened with the house fire. Her being out of town, she was saved. So you can imagine she's very upset about that. Well, as these 3 stories progress, we find out what happened. And one thing I really liked about this book, Susan Wittig Albert writes the China Bales mystery. And China Bales and another character appear in this book. And they make references to other stories. For example, it says you can read the story in Out of Body, the 3rd novella in the Crystal Cave trilogy. So it ties a lot of the books in together. And I like that about it, because sometimes if it talks about what happened in another book and that I haven't read, it makes me wonder. So this is standalone, but if you want to know more about the characters and the storylines, it tells you where to find it. This one is called A Page Marked for Murder. It is by Lauren Elliott, and this is about a bookstore owner who's not only does she sell books, she specializes in antique books. And she lives in another small town. They're decorating for a festival, and a lady falls off a ladder and ends up in the hospital. Well, she and one of her friends go to the hospital and say, "Can we bring you anything?" Well, they bring her a change of clothes, and then they bring that to the hospital. And she says, "Well, you know, I was reading The Secret Garden. It's on my night table if you would bring it to me." And they said, "Sure, we saw that book." So they go back, and the book is missing. Well, Addie, the bookstore owner, recognized it as a first edition for the first time they went there, and it's worth like $25,000. So you have to figure out who stole the book, who committed the murder. It's a lot of family history in here between the characters. A really good plot. It was interesting. I did not figure out the ending to this one. The next one is Our Woman in Moscow. This is written by Beatrice Williams. This is about 2 sisters, also twins, who were very close growing up. They were given to an aunt to raise after the father died, and the mother wasn't handling it very well. And the brother, starts out in 1940 and is switched between 1940 and 1952. Well, he had the sisters come and live with him in 1940 in London. They're originally from New York. And one of the sisters is a beautiful model. She owns a modeling agency. And the other sister is she's not plain, but compared to the other one, she's just average. And she's very introverted. She loves to go to museums. And she meets this tall Russian, very attractive man. And they marry. And her sister tells her he's not any good. So that drives a wedge between them, and they haven't spoken for 12 years. An FBI agent comes to New York to the sister at the modeling agency and wants to know, when was the last time you heard from your sister? She goes, not for 12 years. We don't speak anymore. I said, well, your aunt hasn't heard from her either. They are back in Moscow, where her husband is from, and what the model doesn't tell the FBI agent is that she just got a postcard from her sister saying, come see me. And I'm not going to tell you anything else, but she does go to Moscow, and we'll find out who's the spy, who isn't the spy, and if these sisters ever get back together. So those are our adult books. I have one young adult book. This is Hey Kiddo by Jarrett J. Krisheka. And Mr. Krisheka was the guest speaker at our summer reading program workshop with the Arkansas Library Association. And he was very, very interesting. And he told us about this book. This is his biography from when he was a young child. It is a graphic novel. He didn't know who his father was. His mother was a drug addict. So he was raised by his grandparents, who, while they loved him and took good care of him and educated him, they were not warm, fuzzy, cuddly people. So he had a pretty sad, rough childhood. He wasn't good in sports. He liked art, so he was picked on. But the main part of this book is you can overcome anything. He went on to an art college. He's very successful. He's an artist. He writes children's books. We have quite a few of his books here that he has written and illustrated. This is very inspirational. If you know a young adult who has not the perfect home situation, this is a very good book to give them hope. Now, I will tell you there is some really rough language in here, especially from the grandmother. But it's well worth reading if you have someone who may be in need of a little encouragement. This next one, this is a juvenile fiction. It is called The Great Pet Heist by Emily Ecton, and the art is by Dave Mottram. This will make you laugh out loud. It is for pets, led by, I believe his name is Butterbean. Butterbean is the dog. He's adorable, he's funny, he's not the brightest bulb on the tree. Their owner, who they call Mrs. Food, because she feeds them, slips in what is left of what Butterbean threw up, and she knocks herself out. And the animals are saying, we have to check her vitals, because they watch a lot of TV. So they know a little bit about what they're supposed to do. And Butterbean says, I'll check her vitals. Where are they? And he just wants to lick her and wake her up, and it doesn't happen. Well, she has one of these medic alert IDs on, so the paramedics come to get her and take her to the hospital. The apartment manager where she lives is not a really nice man, but he sends his niece to take care of the animals, walk the dog, give them whatever they need. And he said, you'll just have to do it for about a week because she's not going to come back. They'll put her in a nursing home when she gets out of the hospital. Well, the animals are shocked and they're worried because they need money to take care of themselves. So they get all of their treasures together to see what they have that they can sell. One of the things Butterbean has is a sock. And he says, this is not just an ordinary sock. This is a compression sock. And Mrs. Food said, it's worth its weight in gold. So those are the kind of jokes they have in here, which that just made me laugh very much. But they end up, one of them has a gold coin. And they find out that somebody in the apartment has a bag of these gold coins that they're going to go steal, so they can have money to take care of themselves in case Mrs. Food doesn't come back. Mrs. Food comes back. But if you want to laugh, children, adults, this is the book. If you're having a bad day, it will make you giggle. Okay, now for the children's books. This first one is called The Bench, and it is written by Megan, the Duchess of Sussex. And this is a very sweet story about a bench and all the things that fathers can do with their children on the bench to get close to them and help them grow. There are some really cute pictures in here. The pictures are by Christian Robinson, and if you have forgotten, Megan, the Duchess of Sussex, is married to Prince Harry, and there's a couple of pictures that really look like Prince Harry with the red hair and the beard. Very, very sweet book. This one I really like. It's called There's a Dinosaur on the 13th Floor. It is written by Wade Bradford, illustrated by Kevin Hawkes. And there is this gentleman, his name is Mr. Snore, and he's looking for a good night's sleep, and he can't get it. So he goes to this hotel, and on every floor, there's something to keep him awake. Like there's mice on his pillow, and there's some other animals making all kind of noises. Well, when he gets to the 13th floor, he ends up in the dinosaur's bed. But the dinosaur is really sweet and generous, and he lets him stay there. And he goes and sleeps in the lobby. And Mr. Snore gets a really good night's sleep. Very, very cute book. This one is The Boo-Boos That Changed the World, a true story about an accidental invention. It is written by Barry Wittenstein, illustrated by Chris Sue. This couple, this is a married couple, and the wife is accident prone. She keeps falling, she keeps cutting herself, and when she bleeds, she wraps it up in a towel to stop the bleeding. Well, her husband decides he needs to do something about that to make it easier. So he invents what we now know as Band-Aids. And that is the invention that came about because this woman keeps cutting herself. Cute story about an invention that kids will be very familiar with. Okay, I'm going to save this one for last. This next one is called Crossings. This is Extraordinary Structures for Extraordinary Animals. It is written by Katie Duffield, illustrated by Mark Oradon. And this is throughout the world with humanity encroaching on the forest and the jungles of animals and putting down roads. The animals are getting hurt. So these countries have come together and they have made bridges and tunnels and special roads for the wild animals that they can cross without getting hurt by the cars. Pictures are great, the stories are great. It's a lot about engineering and conservation. Very helpful book, very educational. Now, this one is absolutely beautiful. It is Wildlife on Paper, Animals at Risk Around the Globe, and it is written by Kunal Kundu. He's also an artist. This is about animals that are extinct or that are going extinct. And this man tells you about all the animals, and he makes sculptures out of paper for each animal. Some of them are kind of dark. That was a turtle. You see, oh, look at this one. This is a caribou. The sculptures are amazing. It's good to read about the animals, but if you check this out and all you want to do is look at the pictures, this is a penguin. They are absolutely gorgeous. And he said he got the idea because his child was playing with crumpled paper one day, and he thought, well, what can I do with it? So he just, oh, look at the tiger. He decided to make sculptures of endangered animals and tell you a little bit about them and how they can be saved. So these are our books for this month. They're, like I said, they're all brand new. I hope you come in and check out some of these. They're all available right now, or anything else that we have here in the library. My decoration today is my little cat pencil holder. That's our craft for this week. So I hope you'll watch that video also. And you have a good day and lots of good books to read.